What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So it seems like this entire week we've been talking about a bunch of different things getting out there for Nintendo a bit early with that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulator, as well as now an entire master list that's leaked out around the Nintendo Switch Online and certain titles that could be heading to the service here in the future. We're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a massive game sale that is currently ongoing for physical copies across all different platforms, and surprisingly, we got a response from Nintendo to that labor dispute, giving their side of the story. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps that a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all of the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with that Klonoa collection. Now, this was announced in that Nintendo Direct. I don't have any real history with the Klonoa series at all. I think I missed this completely with the PlayStation 2, and I think even on the Wii. But here we are now with a remastered collection, giving me a chance to go back and check these out. And I noticed many of you were telling me I should be doing that, so we'll see come July, as it also looks like now it will be heading to all different platforms. We can see this posted up over on Twitter from Bandai saying Klonoa will release digitally on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and Steam on July 8th. Now they go over many of the new gameplay elements, which includes easy and normal difficulty, hard mode unlocks after clearing the game, optional tutorials, 2-player support mode, and challenging stopwatch mode. I double checked, there is a physical copy that's being released, I believe, on the Switch, but it's not in like the US. I would have to get it imported, and I saw it on Play Asia, so I might make the move there and pick that one up. But good to see at least it's available across several different platforms. I thought they already announced that it was going to different platforms like the PlayStation and the Xbox, but maybe just to confirm here, yes, it will be basically available across everything. Also, not too long ago, we had LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga released and got off to a very fast start when it came to sales, which we saw it in the UK top sales charts and become like the fastest selling one there. And overall, the game's very good. Like, I play it in spurts here and there as I have time. It's not really a game that I sit down and play for hours and hours and hours, but I think it's good for like a 30-minute to an hour kind of time slot there, and the drop in, drop out co-op is very good. Well, now we can see this posted up over on Twitter from Warner Bros. Games saying, "We've set a new record thanks to all the players for helping make LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga the biggest launch in LEGO game history." Again, it's not too surprising with the scope of this game. It's very ambitious. There's a ton of content here, and I know there's a lot of controversy around the development cycle that included quite a bit of crunch, a lot of stories around that, but we see the final product. I mean, the game is very good, and it makes sense that it's selling this well for them. It's LEGO, and then it's also Star Wars. Like I said, you bring it all together, you have a game that is this kind of quality, it probably will end up being the best selling, because if you look at it, yeah, it's also the best like LEGO game ever made, at least from what I'm seeing. Oh, and we just talked about God of War Ragnarok, and after that video that was put out during the 4th anniversary for God of War 2018, that there were concerns that Ragnarok would actually be delayed into 2023 after technically being delayed out of 2021, but who really thought it was coming out last year? But it does look like there's a lot of confidence with developers at Sony Santa Monica. We can see this posted up by Bruno Velasquez, who's the animation director at Sony Santa Monica, simply saying, hey, Ragnarok is coming out this year. I do believe that God of War Ragnarok will release in 2022. It could be later on, maybe even later than we're used to with some of Sony's first-party games. Typically, they'll stop right in like September for their big releases and leave room for a lot of the larger third parties, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, the Maddens, and all of that. But I'm kind of looking at this thinking God of War Ragnarok will be lined up for some sort of state of play, a PlayStation experience in the next month or two. Maybe they close out with the release date, and I'm kind of thinking of September, but let me know when you think it's coming out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this leaked master list of Nintendo games for the Nintendo Switch Online service. I've noticed that Nintendo is a bit more sporadic now even than before with Nintendo and Super Nintendo game releases for the service. Obviously, they're focusing a lot on Nintendo 64 and Genesis because the expansion pack tier is more expensive and they have to continue building that one up, whereas Nintendo and Super Nintendo has like, what, over 100 games already? But it does look like they still have, I would say, some surprising plans even, because I wasn't expecting some of these titles to be there, considering some of the collections we already have on the Switch. Let's take a look. This was posted up from Caitlin, who says the leaked application has a build date of October 2019. They have an image here showing quite a few titles. This includes Pac-Man game, Tetris, Galaga, a bunch of Mega Man games, Castlevania titles. And the Mega Man games in particular caught me a bit off guard because we have the Mega Man Legacy Collection on the Switch. You can buy that, you'll get all these different Mega Man titles. But here, it looks like, at least as of October 2019, there were plans to put these different Mega Man games into the service. When? That's a good question because, I mean, October 2019, that was quite a while ago now. I mean, they would have been planning this out well in advance, but like 2.5 years now, and we don't have any of these Mega Man games in the service yet. Makes you wonder if maybe plans fell through. It's possible, but we do have special editions of a bunch of these Mega Man games, and whenever you have like that SP banner pop up, typically I look at it as like a save state, almost ROM hack, where they will do things like put you at the end of the game completely powered up. Like with Mega Man 6, I wouldn't be shocked if that SP modification was, we're going to put you at the end of the game, we'll give you the rush suit and all of this, and you can just fight the final boss. There is one other interesting thing. Last night, there would have been Genesis maintenance for like that Genesis application. Every time that happens, more games seem to get added in, so we'll see if it holds up here as well, and that'll basically be our indication going forward as to when new Genesis games will be added. Unfortunately, this is being recorded before they do that maintenance, but I guess we'll see here today if new Genesis games popped up. But I do like the idea of them just loading up the service with a bunch of Mega Man games from this era, because even though that Legacy Collection is there are probably a lot of people who have not played these 8-bit Mega Man games, and they are very, very good. I mean, people will go through and pick out their favorite ones, whether it's Mega Man 2, 3, or 6. I thought 6 was pretty good. Also, that rush suit was pretty cool. But I'm also hoping that maybe they line this up. They're like, all right, let's put some Mega Man games out there on Nintendo Switch Online with the NES side, and then we drop Mega Man 64 into the N64 expansion. I mean, it's probably a disturbing amount of people out there who have not played Mega Man Legends yet. So I guess we'll keep tabs on this leak in particular to see if over the coming months, maybe even years, depending on how long Nintendo wants to drip feed some of this content, ends up becoming correct. Especially with all these Mega Man games, I will admit it would be pretty cool to be able to open up the Nintendo Switch Online application, and then there's just all 6 Mega Man games ready for you to check out. Next up, let's talk about a massive game sale that is currently ongoing. Now, these are for physical copies of these games. They're also for used or pre-owned copies, and I'm pretty confident in this source because I have been ordering from them over the past several years, and basically every game I get is in like new condition. Let's take a look here. This is from Gamefly. This is their pre-played blowout. They have some points here to check out: free shipping, new case inserts. That's the biggest one there, because they will note in the listing if it does not come with those. So keep an eye on that, because you don't want to order it thinking you're going to get the case and all that, and it just shows up as the disc in like a plastic sleeve. Anyway, we can see some of the listings here. I mean, some are a bit newer, like Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, that down to $40. The Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection at $30. Call of Duty Vanguard at $20. Babylon's Fall, hey, that's working its way down now to $30. I mean, to be honest, that game just needs to go free to play, but still, at least it's getting discounted somewhat. You also have Deathloop now down to $20, which I think at $20, that's a very good pickup, especially here physically. Godfall down to $13, almost in the why not price range. We also have several Switch games that are on sale, which includes some first-party titles. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD at $40. You have both Pokemon Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond down to $40. New Pokemon Snap at $35. Super Mario Party at $45. It is surprising just how expensive that game continues to be, but I mean, it keeps selling, so what are they supposed to do, I guess? WarioWare Get It Together there at $35. For the PlayStation 4, they have a bunch of games on sale, with Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales at $30. Outriders is $8 now. I think for $8, that might be worth a pickup there. Biomutant at $13. Watch Dogs Legion is $10. Assassin's Creed Valhalla at $13. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy at $15. Yakuza Like a Dragon is down to $20. Even the Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy Definitive Edition at $25. Moving over to the Xbox, we do have Battlefield 2042 at $20. I mean, it's incredible how far this game has fallen, just overall, not just in terms of pricing here, but there you go. If you want to try to jump in now, $20. Halo Infinite's kind of the same at $25, although the thing with Halo Infinite that's pretty frustrating is the disc itself doesn't have like really the game. I mean, it has like part of it, but not like the entirety of it. And it's very strange that they even shipped it in that fashion. Riders Republic at $20 there. There's Outriders again for $8. Far Cry 6 sitting at $13. Oddworld Soulstorm, which is I think a pretty good pickup there at $20. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy at $15. I know it's in the Game Pass, but we do see these games tend to leave the service at times, so it might not be a bad idea to pick it up there for the collection. Then I know Chorus is at $20. That's a game I've kind of looked at here and there, and it might be time to finally pick it up. But overall, a pretty good sale. I do like it when I can find a lot of these physical games marked down pretty well. We tend to go over mostly digital sales because that's just what we see pop up like all the time across the board, but occasionally we'll get these really good physical sales and it's worth taking advantage of. Next up, let's talk about Skate 4, I guess the new Skate game. I just tend to call it Skate 4, although I think they're just calling it Skate. Anyway, weird naming aside, it does appear that we've had a very early look at this game. We talked about it briefly before where it sounded like they were getting ready to show the game and it could be coming out sooner than we were expecting. Well, now it looks like they've been running some play tests around just getting the feel of the game right. And in fact, there's some footage that Jeff Grubb tweeted out, which we can see posted up here, saying this is Skate 4 pre-alpha footage. This is in line with what I've heard about where the game is at from multiple people. They're trying to get the feel right, which is probably the most important aspect of a skate game. And I mean, the game looks very, very basic. They're like missing textures. It's like, it legitimately does just look like geometry on the screen here. But the thing that obviously they're focusing on is the feel of the game. And I gotta say, just if you kind of remove the visuals from all this, it looks like a very fluid skateboarding game that they're trying to put together here. And as someone who's a big Skate fan, dating back, obviously, the original Skate, playing all the way through on the 360 there, I like what I'm seeing right now. Also in the video, it was pretty funny to see them kind of doing these flips off of the board and trying to climb up different sides. So it appears there's going to be some pretty good exploration aspect to it. And it was also mentioned in a story recently that you'll be able to build these different skate parks together with someone else in like this free play mode. So I like the idea of the community aspect, which was very important during Skate 3, bringing that in and kind of setting that up for success with better tools here with this newer Skate would just work to prolong the life of this game without having to rely on update after update after update from the developers. So I'm excited to see more about this game, and I don't know, maybe EA will have their own events set up for this, as they weren't ready to do their EA Play Live around E3 time in June, and it seemed like they were going to opt for basically whenever they're ready to talk about these different things and kind of break them up into their own live streams. And I think that's a great idea. Have a presentation just around this new Skate game when it's ready to be shown. That could be later on this year. As I mentioned, there were just talks that, hey, this game's gonna be ready sooner rather than later. So I hope that means they get the feel right and that they don't launch with like very, very bare bones limited content. I'd rather them hold on to this game longer in development to make sure we get a complete feeling title. Oh, and I was curious how people felt around the idea of showing these games off this early on. This seemed to be footage that just got out there from like playtests, but we've seen EA and Dead Space, that remake just kind of get shown in like these developer diaries. So I decided to put that to our poll question, which we'll get to later on. In our last bit of news, let's talk about an interesting turn of events here when it comes to that labor dispute between an employee and Nintendo, because Nintendo actually responded and kind of gave their side of the story here. First, though, quick reminder of that story. This was posted up by Steven Totillo over at Axios, saying a worker says Nintendo of America violated their rights to organize and has filed a National Labor Relations Board complaint against them and a hiring firm. In an update, Steven Totillo says Nintendo is not aware of any attempts to unionize or related activity, saying Nintendo tells me person who filed the NLRB complaint was a contractor who, they say, leaked confidential information and was dismissed only for that reason. Now, they also say Nintendo is fully committed to providing a welcoming and supportive work environment for all our employees, and contractors would take matters of employment very seriously. Now, I'm not shocked to hear that, sure, someone could have leaked information that was supposed to be confidential and Nintendo said, oh, you're out. We know Nintendo's very serious when it comes to leaks. There are a lot of stories about them traveling around even to see where leaks are coming from. So it wouldn't surprise me if that actually was the case, but they still have to go through the process here and verify that that is indeed what happened overall. Now, since this story came out online, there have been a lot of allegations and stories being put out there around Nintendo, so much so that it kind of looks like Stephen Totillo is looking into it. So I wouldn't be shocked if in the coming weeks we start hearing more and more about Nintendo, specifically their own working environment within Nintendo of America or just their Japan headquarters. So keep that in mind, and I'll leave you guys with this. Remember, these are all corporations, even if it says Nintendo on the front or Sony or Microsoft. At the end of the day, thousands of employees come together with a bunch of decision makers at the top. And as we've seen just in history, doesn't always work out that well. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, how do you feel about developers showing early, rough-looking footage of games like EA with Dead Space Remake? 63% said I like it. Seeing developer builds is interesting. 37% said I don't like it. Just show the game when it's ready. And it's this interesting idea that a developer or publisher would be confident enough to just show this game where it's like missing textures and it looks terrible, because there is that idea that first impression is extremely important for a game. Look what happened with Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake. We haven't seen or really heard about that thing since they first showed it, and it did not look very good. But then you have EA with Dead Space showing it off where it is just missing a lot of the game. And they're like, look at this audio stuff we did. And it's like, maybe they're just looking for feedback around how the game's gonna play, because they already know the game's gonna look good with the engine that they're using. Same kind of here with Skate. It's not like EA just put that footage out there, it leaked out, but for me, I was just happy to see them trying to work out the physics and the controls and then be like, look, the visuals, they'll be fine. We just want to make sure it plays like a Skate game. I don't mind seeing developers dive into this. It's not for everyone, and I understand some people just want to see it when it's ready, but I do find it interesting to at least kind of go through the process of development and see how they accomplish certain things. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Camel saying, you know why these publishers don't take gamer outrage seriously? It's because they know we will still buy whatever they are selling. Well, yeah, in some cases. I mean, it depends on the strength of that intellectual property when it comes to these publishers and developers navigating the PR minefield, if you will. I mean, we've seen some cases where a massive amount of pushback happened and, well, the publisher had to pivot. Think of like Battlefront 2. It got to the point where lawmakers were getting involved and Disney was like, hold on, you got to figure this out, EA. And I mean, they did, they reversed course. They actually put a lot of work into trying to fix Battlefront 2 over the coming years, and just not a lot of people cared. Like, that's how badly that entire thing hurt that game. But yeah, in some cases, if Nintendo comes out and does something annoying with Breath of the Wild 2, they're probably just gonna sit back and say, well, you're probably gonna buy it anyway, and yeah, I mean, they're probably right. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was that NES master list that seemed to get out there early for Nintendo Switch Online. Do you really think we're getting all 6 Mega Man games added to the service? Then what about Nintendo's response to that labor dispute with leaked information being the cause of their firing? And then the big game sale currently happening at Gamefly. Let me know which games you're thinking about picking up. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.